Okay, welcome back to the Backyard Professor videos. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all you new viewers, you new subscribers. I'm getting constantly new subscribers each week. If you're checking out my chess videos, we love having you. This weekend's President's Day. I've got a 3-day weekend paid on Monday. Woohoo! I'm going to try something different that I've never done before. I forgot my glasses. Hold on, I can't see myself. Oh, there we go. Now my audience becomes clear. I'm going to do a live Saturday morning. I'm going to start an hour earlier. A few people overseas were mentioning that I'd started a little bit later. I ought to probably start a little earlier, so I'm going to try that. Saturday morning at 9 Mountain Time in the United States. And I think I will do a chess live Sunday morning and another chess live Monday morning. 3 lives in a row with chess. That'll be fun. And in the meantime, I'll try to do some videos as well. This one is the world champion, former world champion, Anatoly Karpov, who played a power game that is little known. Hold on. What is his opponent's name? Hard to pronounce. Oh, criminy. I can't even find the paper I had it on. Anyway, Karpov plays the white. It was a really weird name, but sorry, I'm not trying to be informal, but I'm informal. So we're going to get a Sicilian. Let's see how this game unfolds, because Karpov, of course, was the great rivalry, if not of all time. For a decade was Karpov and Kasparov, right? And that was a screaming hit in the center, keeping the tension. CD. C will take the D pawn. They call that CD now. Knight takes D4. Now, of course, the knight's not going to take the knight. Don't be silly. The queen is covering that knight, so develop, bring another piece out. Anyway, I'm going to do some more chess videos and chess lives. I've had a decent week on chess this last week. I'm a little behind some of my goals. I'm going to try to take tonight after I record this, and then tomorrow afternoon and evening to catch up on some very important, essential details that I have outlined for myself to accomplish, and I'm a little behind. D6, now he's bumping. He's going to do what is called a compact center, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. What I mean by compact center, he's not pushing either pawn up to the 5, either the E or the D5. It's just kind of small, bunched. There's no weaknesses here. This is not a criticism. That's just his particular development. They're putting their pieces on the squares they want in order to then begin the real oomph of this game. Very interesting setup. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Queen D2 and Bishop E7, preparing the castle. Always a good thing. Now, Karpov has prepared to castle on the long run. And he does. He castles queenside, which a real good potential advantage is it does put the rook directly on the D file, which is straight across from the queen. Anytime, I'm not kidding, anytime you can put that rook across from the queen, kudos to you. Rook across from either a queen or a king is always a pretty good spot to put the rook. I'm just giving you a hint. So notice that there is no, there's no real attack yet. There's no real, they're not actually really setting up. It does appear they're more developing than anything, yes? At this point, no weaknesses in either one of the camps. And now Karpov pushes for more space with the F4. You get the impression black is cramped a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's weak by any means. And Karpov is going to become the aggressor for all intents and purposes. And no sooner than I speak than I am refuted because now knight takes the d4. And of course, this gives Karpov a chance to centralize his lovely lady in her evening gown for the evening stroll. And she went right up there into the middle of the garden, right where she belongs, because from there she can see the entire area. And that's good. So good centralization of the queen, and queen a5. Hitting the knight, but on the diagonal. But keep your eye peeled for the horizontal movement also. Just eyeing the bishop. Of course, you can't take it yet, but queens also have that power, as well as diagonal power, as well as front power. The beauty of bringing the queen forward is she has 1, 2, 3 targets. Interesting. Queen a5, a good move, and Karpov brings up another piece. See, there isn't any real attack yet. They're both doing this classically as we have been taught to as the lesser mortals in chess. Develop all your pieces first, then move your queen, connect your rooks, put your rooks in the center, develop your heavy pieces, and then attack. Yeah, we see a classic example of that here. Once again, bishop d7. Not a whit behind in development at all. Oh, sorry. He had castled earlier. After he castled. I can't believe I missed that. And then f4. Boy. And then knight took d4. Man, I'm way the heck behind. And now bishop d7. So he brings his bishop, he brings his bishop. They're both castled, tucked away on opposite sides of the boards. So black will come to the queen side, white wants the king side. Nothing really magnificent has happened just yet until Karpov puts the pressure in the center. So Jeremy Silman, studied all of these great games of these guys. And one of his bits of philosophy that really did kind of help me open my eyes is the further you push your pawns, the more space it creates. So if you can gain space, get greedy and gain more space still, with this caveat that we understand every pawn push leaves behind weaknesses. That's a real important concept. And it's not a negative or a positive. It depends on how you and I use them in our games. If it's a negative, positive, it is the nature of how the pawns work. For instance, here, white is having this square, this square, this square, and this square because of these two pawns, 4 real nice squares. And black is also contesting 3 of those 4 squares with his 2 very nice pawns. When Karpov pushed the pawn, he instantly gives up control of 2 of those 4 squares that the pawn side by side controlled, but now this pawn cannot control f5 or d5. Instead, it now controls, or at least fights for, d6 and f6. But understand now that this pawn is unchallenged for these squares because of his push forward. That's how pawns work, right? So here we go. But he is putting pressure in the center, and black will respond. D to E, that's how they call these exchanges now. D will take e5, F to E, F will take the e5. So there is an exchange. Now we're beginning to get the lines of demarcation figured out in this game. Yeah, baby, let's go. Bishop c6. So once again, something simple, a small move. Just a move on another square, just one square too, right? Look at the difference though. Tucks behind this pawn, that bishop does nothing. Pull him out, and he becomes an absolute monster bishop. Very powerful. Just something to observe, right? Bump him out toward the center and grab that diagonal. So they're building up their approach to attack is what's happening. That is what we're seeing. And the bishop now will come to d2, and something interesting happens with this next move. Knight to d7. I believe, yes, because of knight to d7. Now Karpov recognizes, aha, I've got the bishop pair. He's going to be able to take away one of the black bishops. Now, in this position, there's not a lot of pawns in that center. Nothing's locked, really. The pieces are influencing it from their distance. Of course, the knights are trying to scoot up there toward the middle as much as they can so that they can improve their power. The bishops are zinging back and forth across the diagonals. The queens are out on both the horizontals, the up and downs, and the diagonals. It's piece activity more than the pawns for the time being. This is called an open board. And this will favor the hot rods of the chessboard, the bishops, because they need long open diagonals to be powerful. Long open diagonals to be powerful. And notice the bishop is across from the queen. There could be a discovery attack on the queen. So the bishop pair here ought to be stronger than the knight and the bishop of black. We'll see. Once the bishop is exchanged, and Karpov immediately goes for it. And you say, what a ninny! He just gave the knight away for what? Whoa. See, here's where this game helps me, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to share the game with you. Because really, we're all taught, look, material is a big thing. In chess, if you can take a piece, by all means, take the piece. Man, if you can get a piece ahead, that's gold. That's bonus. So take it with the pawn. I mean, look, you could take it with the bishop, and then he would exchange the bishop, and you can eliminate the bishop and the knight, and he will eliminate your bishop, and the queen will take the pawn. So all of that noise in the middle goes away, but aren't you missing something? In moving the knight, there's a discovered attack on the queen. She's the more important piece. See, this is tactics. This is so cool. This is one of the coolest tactics, too. The discovered, and it's called either a discovered check or a discovered attack. If it's on another piece like a rook or queen, whatever, or sometimes even a pawn, really, a very important pawn, like a pass pawn on the 7th rank, getting rid of the queen, whatever. By a discovered check, you can put the piece in a provocative place that his eye will zero in on that, and he'll say, oh, isn't that a free knight? Isn't that a free knight? My pawn can take it, and you'll miss the greater significance. His opponent didn't. He bumped the queen back. Thank goodness that was close. So here's how Karpov got the bishop pair. And what we mean by that, he went ahead and took the bishop, and the queen retook the knight. What he means by that is now black is only left with one bishop, while white has both. He has the bishop pair. And so this could become very significant because a lot of the central pawns are gone or just not bumped into the center to clutter it. And so these bishops, the longer the game goes, the more pawns that are exchanged, the more pieces that are traded off, the stronger these bishops are going to get. Let's see if Karpov can put these bishops to work. Now, rook he1. Finally, we're getting the final doings of the bringing of the heavy pieces into this game. Everything is ready to go. Now we can go to war. Here we go. And the first thing he does is queen f4. So the subtlety, and yet it's obviously right out there in the open, right? The queen is getting closer to the king, which will make the queen attacking the king easier. It's that simple. Here she's doing a fine job, but it's the wrong side. Now, actually, in the middle is good. But in this setup, the king side should be what Karpov attacks, and the queen side is what his opponent should attack. Well, okay, if you're going to attack the king side, you got to put stuff over there, right? So he does. Queen f4. Good. Okay, and his opponent, a5. All right, he's going to use his pawns to attack Karpov's castled king. Karpov knows that, so castle and queen side, you want to bump your king to the b1 as soon as possible, and here we go, knight b6. So not only are you going to shoot a pawn out there to break up the pawns in front of white's king, you're going to back it up with pieces. So this is going to be a very big battle, and very interestingly, bishop will drop down to d3. So this is not going anywhere, and the f7 is supporting the e6 very strong. This bishop has limited use. The knight comes in to hit the bishop. Keep the bishop here, because if you want to attack on the king side, that's a beautiful diagonal to have for the white squared bishop. You went to the trouble of acquiring both bishops, leaving him with one. Put the bishops in the best, most active place that you can in order to accomplish your plan, which is attack the king side. This makes sense that Karpov put the bishop back. See, it's actually somewhat elementary in that respect, right? Now, knight d5. A great move, because not only does it centralize the knight, it puts it on an outpost, not a permanent one, but it also moves the knight closer to white's king. Always something you want to do. If you're going to attack the king, first you have to get near it. Right? I mean, just look. At this point, the black queen can't attack the white king. Why? She's too far away. You can't reach him. At this point, the black rook can't attack the black king. Why? Because the bishop's in the way. At this point, the other black rook can't attack the white king. Why? Because his own pawn's in the way. At this point, the black pawn cannot attack the white king. Why? Because it's too far away. You see the pattern. So the proper way to do an attack is get your pieces over closer to the king, right? Okay, so we have that firmly established. Knight d5, a very nice move hitting the queen. Queen will just gently come over to g4, and this puts the queen across from the king, one file closer. And like the rooks, the best place for rooks is across from the queen or the king. The best place for the queen is across from your opponent's king. So nice. Queen c5. This is another fabulous move because it relocates the queen to the proper side of the board. She is now closer to the king, but notice this idea here. And yeah, she does have a good diagonal, but a single piece attack you're never going to attack a king with just one rook, right? Don't attack a king with just your queen, right? So if you just start trying to attack with just the queen, you're going to fail. If you just start trying to defend with just the queen, you'll probably fail. The queen is more active here, and you can clearly see that she is much more active from this square to this one. Now she's really picking up steam, right? So good move, good move. And now here's a move that got the exclamation point for Karpov. Can you see it? In this setup, queen taking g7 is not the proper move. There are times when you're going to want to sack the queen. Correct. But the setup is not correct for that. So that wouldn't have got a capitalize. That would have got a groan, right? The much better move is the rook to e4. Not only centralizing, it's far more active in a far more important manner and place on the chessboard than it is down here. Because now you got all of this as well as this. So good rook move. Very good rook move. b5, gaining more space. Absolutely. Yeah. On the right side of the board. Man, if he was pushing these pawns, you would absolutely giggle, wouldn't you? Could you possibly imagine? Especially with the queen over here. Let's say she was down here. Could you possibly imagine pushing those pawns to chase off a queen? That would be a horrid strategy, right? Keep that king protected because now all of the squares around the king are weak and you have both bishops. White squared and black squared, you can take advantage of those weaknesses. So that's the wrong side of the board to push the pawns. Don't be doing that just because you're nervous about a queen being a little bit closer. It's all good. She's not going to get you by herself. Instead, carry out your own plan and expand and thrust the power down against his king. That's good chess. Watch. Queen h3, and you're going, yeah, all right. So here, you don't really, the bishop isn't really attacking the queen. The knight's not attacking the queen directly. There's no pawns actually threatening the queen. The queen, the dark queen is on the other side. There's a lot of stuff between her and the queen also. Why is he retreating the queen? The pawn did not come back to do a beautiful fork, and yet the queen retreats, possibly to help prevent that beautiful fork. But there's a more subtle, important reason why he did this. I just said a minute ago, just a lone queen by herself or a lone rook, you'll never checkmate a king with just a knight, right? So what this does is it coordinates the queen and the h7 square with the light squared bishop and the h7 square. There's that fabulous triangle of coordination. Here, you don't get the right square. The dark square bishop's down here. He doesn't quite get to the king yet, although he can be a very powerful piece. This way, you do connect with that white square. And you say, yeah, but the rook's in the way. Try to see the pattern, even when there's pieces in between where your target either square or piece is. If there's pieces there obstructing the view, try to see it anyway, because quite frankly, the rook because the rook has been lifted, the rook going over to either G or H4 is simply exquisite. Yeah? So here's another interesting lesson. There hasn't necessarily been any attack yet, has there? See, we're on the Queen H3. We're on the 23rd move. And there hasn't really been an attempt to attack either side. Both kings are safe, but none of their pawns in front of them have moved. They've both been tucked away. So they're jostling their pieces to the most active squares, wherever those are, as well as beginning to coordinate where two or more pieces can meet together at a key square to make the attack more effective. And that's what both of these guys are beginning to try to do. That's why he's pushing the pawns, to blow out these pawns. So let's see how they do this. Knight b4. Once again, another knight move that closes closer to the king. And now we begin to see he's starting to touch important squares that's in front of the king, the queen now, and the knight. And if the bishop is moved, taking a rook or moving back, the rook too are beginning to hit important key squares and or chess pieces around the enemy king. That's a really important point. And now bishop e3 hitting the queen. Now, this coordination is so strong that the bishop takes the rook. Amazing. He ignores his attack on the queen. He takes the rook because that rook coming over is going to cause havoc. And it'll be checkmate before black can get here. Karpov doesn't take the queen. There's a better way. This is so amazing. He wants to keep the content of that coordination intact. The position, and this has got to be one of the hardest things. I promise I am trying to learn this and integrate it I'm trying to change my chess psychology, right? Material is important, but sometimes position takes priority, and to Karpov, the position is vastly more important than the material. He lets the material remain even as far as the pieces go. The queen will take the middle pawn, of course. And now Karpov is down a pawn. I don't think he's worrying about that because now, here we go. What this does, queen takes h7, is now Karpov has the initiative. This is the most forcing move that you can make. Karpov can ignore to take a piece or move a certain piece. But when you put the king in check, you can't. You must address the issue, right? So that means Karpov he has the initiative. He is forcing his opponent to do what he wants him to do. King will come to f8. And do you notice now, if the queen goes to h8, and this is a really important lesson, part of the game lesson, if the queen comes to h8, the attack's over. You know what? Yeah. The attack's over. Sure, you can put the bishop here and go check, but the queen will take it. You can put the bishop here and go check, but the queen will take it. And the rook is protected by the rook. So I suppose you could take a pawn, except the queen protects the pawn too. Your attack is dead. That's an important point to see. So rather than continuing with the forceful move of check, Karpov uses his superior position because he kept his bishop and he takes the supporting rook. Now the other rook is seriously in danger. Now queen to h8 is entirely doable. And therefore, now he's forced to go to king e7. And queen e4. Pure dynamite. Because his attack is over on the file. Come right back to the center and let's swap the queens. Because I'm winning. I still have the bishop pair. And I own the position of the powerful open file. And I have the pawn majority here. He's got the pawn majority there, but I've got both bishops. With two bishops in an endgame, you can control the pawns on that side and that side, both together in one fell swoop when you centralize your bishops. No pawns from either side is going to be queening. So by all means, trade the queens. Fantastic strategy. And of course, he says, I've got to have my queen, man. So, having said that, what does white do? See, now, the king can't come over to here. He's stuck over here. You've got a potential bishop check. Yeah. You've got a king to here or here. Either one. And then you've got the queen to here and up. And so there's a lot of stuff that you can do to get the king to move, but it's going to take time. And the better way is this is one of the secrets that they have said it in the chess videos. They don't emphasize it. Several of the YouTube creators, they don't really make a big whoop-de-doo about this. I'm going to for this reason, because every one of them are correct when they say, when you're approaching the end game, the best thing you can do, because it simplifies the task of winning, the best thing you can do is exchange the queen. Criminy, exchange the pieces. Begin exchanging. Get them off the board and do a king-pawn endgame. That's much easier to handle. And so Karpov puts the final nail in the coffin. Here black resigned. Because you can't, at this point, you're forced to change the queen. So, and you say, is that so bad? Is that so bad? Yes, it is so bad, because what's black going to do now? Right? I mean, I suppose, if you wanted to, you could threaten the bishop, but no, you don't have that. Yeah, you could threaten the bishop, I suppose, but the bishop's going to move. So you're a piece down, and he still has both bishops in the end with the rook, and you have a rook and a knight. The knight's close to the king, but their black resigns. So anyway, there's the game of Karpov that shows so many interesting ideas and themes that we've studied, that we keep seeing in chess games for a reason, because these are the winning moves that the grandmasters of the past and of today keep making, because they work. And so we like to study this stuff so that hopefully we can remember them, put them in our games so that they'll begin to work for us. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's live, and Sunday morning's live, and Monday morning's live with you. Tell all your friends and family and whoever else if they want to come and join the fun. We have a great chat group. We have a lot of fun talking and sharing ideas. And I'm going to start at, it means I can't stay up late tonight catching up. I'm going to go ahead and try to accommodate you. I'll find out tomorrow morning if it works. I'm going to start at 9 o'clock Mountain Time in the United States, and we'll see how many folks say, yeah, that was too early, or yeah, that's good. But I'm going to make these live sessions just a little bit longer also. We'll put more real fun, interesting traps and tactics and all kinds of stuff in these lives. But if we do 3 in a row, we're going to have a splendid weekend of really good chess. Fun stuff to learn. We'll learn some openings. We'll learn some strategies in openings. We'll learn some traps in some openings. And we'll learn some tactics in openings. That's great stuff. So I might even show you a game or two I played, both in the loss category and the win category. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all your support. I'll see y'all tomorrow in the morning, and have a good night rest, and I'll catch up to you soon. I have to go get to work to prepare more good chess.